Okay, so as promised, we're back and we're going to get Lee's thoughts on our day from Silver Lake to Little Superior Lake. You already saw Chris and I, or Wolfman and I should say, in our half darkness, which I'm sure everybody appreciated. And we gave our thoughts, but Lee was back getting into his silk pajamas and getting ready to go into his four-poster bed, as we talked about. So we'll get now his thoughts on Silver Lake to Little Superior.
Hello again. This was the second last day of hiking, and I remember. Well, each day for me was exhausting, but this particular day, I remember we did a lot of ridge hiking, and we did see the backside of Silver Peak, and those views were pretty stunning. But as we descended down into like a lot of the foresty areas, we did come across almost a vertical climb and the wall, and I mean that climbing up that was unbearable. Probably 50, 60 foot, almost vertical climb. That was probably my low looking at that. The high part would be after completing that, looking down what I just completed. That was pretty nice to see that that I completed that with the guys too. Yeah, and it was another exhausting day. I had to go to sleep a lot earlier than the Wolfman and Captain John. So, but it was a nice day. The second last day was nice, and it was nice to know I had one more day of hiking, and then I was out. So.
I just wanted to get a picture of the big stogies that were smoking and that we smoked each night on the trail, because you know that's the way to do it. Bust your butt all day and then pollute your lungs with copious amounts of cigars. Anyway, so we're going to talk about our last full day, or it was a full day, I guess, from Little Superior out to the eastern trailhead, correct?
Yes.
At the George Lake campground. So we'll talk about our highs and lows of that day, and then one final video to kind of wrap it up in terms of, you know, what our overall thoughts on the trail was. So I think we'll start with Wolfman on his thoughts of that last day.
Well, I will say that last day, to me, that view from the top of the crack is the money shot of the whole park. That is such. While it's not as vast as the view from the peak, it's much prettier. That's just a beautiful view from the top of the crack, and I can see why everyone hikes in to do that. That last day, you know, getting up to the crack was gnarly. Getting down was good. We now know that you should pay more attention to the trail markers, because there's a part of the trail that's been moved because of erosion, and somehow we ended up on that, and thankfully we heard voices, so we didn't have to backtrack, and we kind of bushwhacked our way through. That last 6 kilometers from where the crack trail ends to getting back to the George Lake campground, that while it's flat, man, does that seem long. You're just waiting till the end, and then of course Killarney has to give you one last reminder of what she's all about, because you have to make that big ascent to get into the George Lake campground. So last day was highlight was definitely the view from the top of the crack, and even though that last 6 kilometers is relatively flat, it's it's just a whole different type of slog.
The last day. I was trailing these guys a little bit behind them, and I was looking at Captain John where he was, and they would make noises, and I would see where they're at, and it was usually because this was the last site or whatever. And the view from the crack, what Wolfman said, it was unbelievable. That's, you know, just that part alone. I really appreciated they pulling me along the trail just to get to that part, the crack, and then seeing the view of the whole park essentially was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Looking down from the crack down, You can't imagine it. And then having to hike down the crack, that was a technical climb down, but it wasn't that bad. But yes, I kept hearing about the last 6 kilometers. So we're hiking out, and I asked Wolfman, I said, "Are we on the 6K?" He says, "Yeah." Okay. So and then all of a sudden, about an hour later, we hit this last 6K. We can see the entrance to the last 6K part, and I'm like, I thought we're already on the 6K club. But anyways, we made it out, and then we had to do that final ascent. And Killarney was definitely reminding us what it's all about. And I'm watching these two guys, and they're making noise at the end of this one part. And I'm looking next to them, and I can see bicycle bicycle parking areas, like the
Bike rack.
yeah, like a bicycle rack. And I'm like, why would someone put a bike rack on a trail? That doesn't make any sense. Then I realized that's the end of the trail, and I had to do the last 30 meters to get out, and it was the toughest 30 meters. But I did it. I did it with these guys, and it was a pretty awesome. I gotta say, it's an awesome experience. Definitely badge of honor that I completed it, and I'm happy to say that I did it. I didn't like it hiking each day, but I'm happy that I did complete the Killarney Trail, and thanks to Captain John and the Wolfman for bringing me along on their hike. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't beat the view from the crack. That's another spot I've been up many times, and the view just never gets old. It is absolutely gorgeous up there with the view of Killarney Lake in the foreground, and OSA, which stands for the Ontario Society of Artists Lake, named primarily for the group of 7 who were instrumental in keeping the place from being logged many years ago. Yeah, that's just iconic, and you know, you're there, you just want to soak it all in and take your time and really enjoy that view. I'm going to say 2 highlights, because we ran into a group of 4 young guys who had been camping for a couple of nights at Wagon Road Lake. And Wagon Road Lake is nothing but a glorified swamp. And it didn't look like the campsites were all that great either. And they walked by us, and one poor bugger had his pack on with a garbage bag swaying from the back of it, and he had ripped the rear end of his pants just below his butt, and his shoelaces were untied, and right after that you've got to cross the beaver dam, and they were screaming at him to tie his shoes, and one guy referred to him as a effing idiot. And we were laughing because after 2 days they were on each other like that, and after 8 days we were still laughing and smiling. So that was a kind of a highlight. Not that they were having such a miserable time, but it reinforced that, you know, when you're out there for 8 days, I've said it before, you find out whether you just tolerate somebody or whether you actually get along, because there's no secrets in the backwoods. Low light of the day would have actually been right near the end. We had just passed the campsite at Little Chagwinda Lake, which is maybe 15 minutes into the trail if you're heading in that direction, or 15 minutes from the end of the trail if you were heading in our direction. And myself and Lee got stung by a couple of wasps. There was a wasp nest that was on the ground. I didn't notice it until something bit my hand, and then something bit my leg. And no sooner do I kind of yell out in pain, Lee's yelling out in pain, and Wolfman saw it. He thought it was a plastic bag, and he was ready to kick it. So thankfully he didn't do that. Yeah. But that was obviously not the way to end your kind of journey with that happening. But it's all part of the Killarney experience. She will make you pay, like I've said many times, but you just can't beat the views. So we will be right back with our final thoughts of the trip and what we thought of it overall. Okay, so now what should have taken place at the trailhead, we will do now with our overall kind of thoughts on the trail. So take it away, Lee.
I'm glad I completed the trail. I was not very happy doing the trail each day, but it's just part of hiking is the camping experience at night. We had our booze, we had our cigars in evenings. That was a very nice part of the hiking day. But it's also the scenery. Looking at the scenery, that area up there is unbelievable country. It's just beautiful and gorgeous. You can't compare it to anything around in this area where we live, that's for sure. Yeah, so I'm very happy I completed it, and now that trail is done for me. Thank you.
Alrighty, Wolfman.
Oh, overall thoughts. I remember reading a blog, someone's blog, and not to say that hiking in other places is not strenuous or not worthwhile. I love being out in the bush and hiking and camping. But I remember reading in a blog somewhere, someone said, "Oh, you've hiked Algonquin. That's cute." And now I understand what they were talking about when they were referring to Killarney. It is a gnarly trail, terrifying beauty of the high points and the ridges. Another thought is I have to be thankful that other people were able to save that place for people like us to go and visit. I stole some of Captain John's pictures from Facebook to post on my own Facebook, and it's amazing the amount of people who said, "Oh, I'd love to be able to do that." Well, you know what? You can do it. Go out and experience these places. They've been put aside for us to see what this province looked like before we came and cut all the trees down and paved all the roads. Get out there and do it. It's once in a lifetime views. It's so much fun with people you like to hang around with. Get out there and experience it. To the Ontario Park system, well maintained. It's all they do a great job. Even I'll throw in one more anecdote. Is somehow my wife got it in her head that we were going to be done by noon. So, being the loving wife that she is, you okay there, Captain?
All set.
Someone just spilt his beer.
Yeah.
My wife had it in her head that we were getting out at noon. So by I think we would say 2:30, 3 o'clock, she called the park, worried about us. And a ranger comes over and says, "Hey, you drive a white Challenger?" "Yeah." "Well, your wife's looking for you." So I'm glad to know my wife cares enough to call and check up on me, even though I'm hundreds of kilometers away. And kudos to the Ontario Parks employees for actually putting up with my wife and me. So get out there, do it. It's well worth the journey.
Yeah, I would have to agree with all that. And I should mention when we were done the trail, right now because of all the COVID restrictions, the showers at Killarney are closed. But we managed to find a place in the little town of Killarney called Roke's Marina. And for 2 loonies, had a wonderful hot shower and, felt humid again. And we were able to stand within the 6-foot social distancing measures and not have people run away in fear at the smell of those 3 old men. Because I'm sure all the day hikers that we passed on the crack, I'm sure there were people who still say, "Remember those 3 old guys that we saw? Man, they reeked." I have no doubt in my mind that happened.
I could smell how clean the people were when we were walking by them. I could smell how clean they were. That's how bad we smelled. Yes.
Yeah, that's no joke. I had the same experience. And then we went to the world's famous Herbert's Fish and Chip, and Lee bought us dinner, and we had a great fish and chips dinner. And to sit down in a normal chair and enjoy that was great too. But that trail, it really is an accomplishment. And people talk about, "Oh, you should be in shape and you should be this and you should be that." I think the thing that really needs to be in shape is the 6 inches of gray matter between your ears, and just constantly telling yourself that you can do it, and that you can make it, and that it's tough, and sometimes you have to embrace the suck. But those views and the company and everything, makes it all worthwhile. Absolutely. And we're all the type that, to just do the trail as quickly as possible, we wouldn't enjoy that. We want to get to camp. We want to enjoy the camp experience. Recharge your batteries to the best of your ability, even though the tank never gets fully recharged. But yeah, I mean, to go there, just be mentally tough enough to do it. And you know, to put that in your back pocket, that's just an awesome experience. Having done it solo, I can say it's much easier doing it with other people, you know, because it makes that mental part of the challenge when you're picking each other up a lot easier. Would I do it again? Yeah, absolutely, I would do it again. But you know, again, it's got to be with other people. I don't think I would ever solo the trip again unless, for whatever reason, that particular summer I couldn't find anybody to go with. But yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful trail, a beautiful park. The vistas, the views are just outstanding. So if you're interested in doing the Cloche Silhouette Trail, or even just parts of it, by all means, you know, you can click like and subscribe, and you know, send private messages, and we'll answer them and do our best to, you know, kind of fill in any blanks that we had. But for now, it's Lee Majors, Wolfman, and the captain signing off on a wonderful trip, and just a great experience in the wonderful confines of Killarney Provincial Park.